Hello, welcome to the Caffeinated Cast-Ons YouTube channel. I am Therese, also known as Caffeinated Cast-Ons, where you can find me on Instagram as @CaffeinatedCast-Ons. I am a North Texas-based knitter. I've been knitting 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years. And this YouTube channel just serves as a place for me to share my knitting, the projects I'm working on. I do think of it as a video version of Ravelry project pages if you're on Ravelry. Speaking of which, I will be linking all of the projects that I talk about down below in the description box, and that will have the link to my Ravelry project pages. Let's get into it. It is Saturday, August 3rd. It is already August. And I can't believe it. So we're going to talk about August knitting plans today, do a July recap. I feel like I have a lot to talk about today, and I've got finished objects, works in progress, August knitting plans, ideas of what I want to knit on next, so we will get into that. I do have my almost finished coffee. I met my mom for coffee this morning. It was really great. We went to one of my favorite coffee shops here in town, and they have great coffee, great food, and it's so good. And I'm almost done with my iced coffee. Let's start with the July recap. So I'm gonna go through my knitting journal. This isn't fancy. It's just very straightforward of whips, goals, and finished objects, just on a plain notebook. So goals that I had for July were to finish the body of my Holger sweater, finish sock 1 of my Rise socks, and then finish sock 2 of my Rise socks. So as I finished these goals, I did add to them. So those were my 3 main goals for the month of July. Sorry, I still have morning voice. Finished objects. I had 3 total for the month of July, which were some color block socks. So I showed those maybe a couple weeks ago. And then the 2 finished objects that I finished most recently in the past week, I will show those. Those are sitting right back here. So finished object number 1 are my Rise socks. And it is the Rise sock pattern by Tin Can Knits. And these are the finished socks. Actually, let me put these on the blocker so you can see them. Okay, here they are on the blockers. These are my Rise socks by Tin Can Knits. I really love this pattern. This was my first time to knit it, and it's not going to be the last, let me tell you. I loved like the construction, the garter stitch on this. It was really, really good. Almost pretty much a mindless knit. Just like it would be a plain vanilla or just straight stockinette sock. So I highly recommend this pattern, especially anyone new to knitting socks. If you've nailed down the vanilla sock and want something just a little bit more different, this is a good pattern. So I knit these on 9-inch circulars. I did a German twisted cast on for the heel. I did a bit of a shorter heel, or not heel, cuff. I did a little bit of a shorter cuff. Typically I do 20 to 25 rounds of 2x2 ribbing for the cuff. For this sock, I did 15 rounds because I was really excited about this garter on the front of the sock, and I really wanted that to shine. And then I did a contrast toe and heel. And I love how this yarn knit up. The yarn that I used is a sock set by ZZ Textiles, and it is the Patina sock set. And I did have plenty of leftovers. So it was a 100-gram main skein, and I want to say this was a 20-gram mini. And I've got plenty left over. I'm actually going to weigh this and see. I've got 58.8 grams left over, so that is a good amount. I'm going to wind some off for a scrappy blanket, and then I'll probably wind the rest off to give to a friend who's working on same scrappy blanket. And then this will probably just go in the scrappy blanket as it is. This has 9.4 grams. So I'll probably both just throw these things into a scrappy blanket. Yeah, and then so I said I worked it on 9-inch circulars until I got to the toe. That's whenever I switched to magic loop. I even, yes, worked the heel flap and gusset all on 9-inch circulars as well. But yeah, just switched to magic loop once I got to the toe. But I love this pattern. I'm definitely gonna knit this pattern again. And so I'll empty out my project bag and save it for the next sock, which I only have one sock on the needles. I'll talk about that here in a second, and some plans for summer sock camp. So that it was a summer sock camp sock. And if you don't know what summer sock camp is, it is a sock make along hosted by Kayla from the Crazy Sock Lady. And it's still going all summer long. You have until the end of August. So the month just started, so you have like a whole month to join in, and you can enter for prizes, or you don't have to, you can just do it for fun. It's a good time. This next finished object I am so excited about. I have been working on the Holger sweater by Petite Knit, and the sweater is a part of a set. Like there's the sweater and the pants. I just made the sweater just for the timeline that I was on, and y'all, I finished the cutest little sweater. Yeah, I've had it bunched up, so it's not laying, and I haven't blocked this yet. I did weave in ends, but look at this precious little thing. Like I mentioned, I haven't blocked it, but ends are woven in. I still have like some stitch markers and stuff in there. But how darling is this, y'all? It's so cute. I cannot wait to gift it, and it's perfect because the person it's for should be arriving any day now. But yeah, let me talk about the construction modifications to this sweater, because I did make some modifications. Very minimal though. Like I mentioned, this is the Holger sweater, part of the Holger baby set from Petite Knit. I knit this on size US 3. Excuse me, size US 3 needles. I think the pattern called for a US 2.5 needle. I typically knit a bit tighter, and so I sized up a needle. I did gauge swatch, and so I met gauge with that needle. So I did that. I did have to pick up the arm, the sleeves a little bit differently than the way the pattern calls for. I think the pattern called for picking up 2 stitches for every 3 rows. My count was different, even though I did meet gauge. Luckily, and I talked about this last week, like I didn't know how I'm going to pick up the sleeves because I couldn't pick up the right stitch count following the pattern. I did reach out to the Petite Knit team. I'm assuming it's like a team of people who are answering questions on the project page in Ravelry, on the actual pattern project page. So I posted a comment there saying what trouble I was running into. They were able to message me and help me out with that. So super thankful for that. I gave them the stitch count that I had for the arm, for the sleeve, and they were able to tell me like, okay, since that's how many you have, this is how you would pick up the stitches. So I was able to pick that up. So I did have to pick that up a little bit differently. And then I did the hem and cuff in a US 2 needle. And then on the project page, I was looking at projects that other people had made on the pattern, and a lot of people said that the neck hole was very small. for what they were making. And babies can have some big heads, okay? And we want this to be easy to come off and on. So what I did is I picked up the correct number of stitches. I was able to pick it up as normal there. But instead of a ribbed and folded neckline, I just did a rolled neckline. So I just knit in stockinette for a few rounds. I think I did 10 rounds there, and then just bound off. And then I just did a regular bind off. The pattern did call for Italian bind off on both the cuffs and the hem, but I didn't want to do that. It's for a baby. I am not concerned. I'm sure, like, it's just, yeah. So not what I did. But yeah, that's pretty much all the modifications I did. Other than that, I followed the pattern exactly. Just a couple little technical things. Like I mentioned, I do still need to block the sweater. I hope to do that today. That way it has the weekend to dry, lay out and dry. Let's talk about the yarn now. So I made the 3 to 6 month size in this sweater, and it was a one skein project. I had 2 skeins that I could dedicate it, because originally I was going to make the sweater and the pants, but since I knit this a little bit slower than I wanted to, I was just focusing on the sweater. So in theory, I could make a pair of pants. I might save this and maybe make that a gift later down the line. We'll see. But I used Life in the Long Grass on the singles base, and it is a 100% superwash merino. Yes. And then this is in the colorway Agate Stone. And then this is how much I've left over from making the sweater, and it is 5 grams exactly. And then I think this is all my ends that I had cut whenever I was weaving in those ends. And so this is 5 grams. I think I'm just gonna throw this into my magic knot ball and call it a day. And then I mentioned, yes, I already mentioned the needle size. I knit the body on US size 3 on my Chowgu needles, and then the neck, hem, and cuffs were on a US 2. So I need to take the needles apart and sort them back into my needle case. And then I can empty out this project bag as well. And so that is very exciting. I am gathering a mess up here. Hold on. Okay, so those are my finished objects that I finished this past week. I'm just counting them in July. I think I technically finished the Holger sweater, like weaving in ends, on August 1st, but I'm just counting it towards my July finished objects. Okay, so now let's talk about August knitting plans. I'm going to take you through my knitting journal for August, and then talk about those plans and the whips that I have going on. So every month I make a page that has my works in progress, so everything that's on my needles. I write down goals that I want to accomplish that month with my knitting, and then I keep track of my finished objects. I did my works in progress part a little bit differently. I actually split it up into 2. So I have work in progress and hibernation, just because I have some things that I have not touched, and originally I did count them as whips, but they weren't whips that I was actively working on. So I broke it up, and I think my brain is going to like that better. So work in progress. I have 3. I have some scrappy socks going for summer sock camp. I have a shawl, and I have a square that's part of an afghan. And then the projects that are in hibernation, I have my DK version of the Jelly Roll blanket by KF Jones, And I have an Afghan going. I cannot remember who the pattern is by. It is not on Ravelry because this pattern's only available if you took it through a class. The class is over. I just haven't finished the blanket yet. So I need to finish the last square, attach that, and then finish the border. And I think it's in this big bag right here. So that's what I have going on for the month of August. Let me take you through, let me say the goals and then I'll take you through the state of what I've been working on this past week. So my goals for the month of August, you know what? No, I take that back. I'm gonna talk about goals later because then I'll talk about my weekly goals as well. Okay, so let's take you through these whips and we'll see where we're at. So the first whip is a pair of scrappy vanilla socks, and I am participating in summer sock camp, like I mentioned, and that's what I'm working on right now. I have been working 2 different socks, typically at the same time, like I'll just have 2 socks on the needles. Whenever I finished the rye socks, I have not cast on another pair since I finished those. I just haven't decided what I want to do for those yet, but I would like to cast those on soon. But these scrappy socks, I have sock 1 done. I don't think I had it done last week, but I did finish sock 1. Look how beautiful. And then I have sock 2 going, and I'm almost done with the leg of the sock. I think I have less than 10 rounds, maybe 6 rounds to go, and then I can start on the heel flap. And then from the first sock, I do have a decent amount left over. I think I'm just going to add these to my magic knot ball because it's such a small amount for each one, like less than 5 grams for sure, for each one. So I think I'm just going to add these to my magic knot ball and get that going. But that's left over from sock 1. And then I have sock 2, going right now. I am working these on 9-inch circulars in a size US1, and then I will switch to magic loop once I get to the toe of the sock, similar to how I've been working my other socks. So that's what I've got so far. And the 2 of the colors are Twisted Ambitions yarn. They're just 20 gram mini skeins that I've been working with there. And then the other is from Red Stag Fiber. I don't know a colorway, I don't know the base. It did not have a label whenever I got it. So I would like to finish these soon, and then also cast on another pair of socks. The next whip I'm going to talk about, I've been working on for a while. I did put it aside just because I was working on the Holger sweater, and that was my main goal to get it done. Now that that's finished, I've had time to pick this up again, and that is my Cali Vada shawl by Casey Knits. And the yarn, every time I see this, it looks so good together. And it's such a fun pattern, like with the ribbing it's got going on and like the slip stitches with the color work. It's so good. I can't remember exactly where I left off the last time, but I did move up my stitch marker and knit this much last night, I believe. Yeah, but going on, and it gets bigger as you go. And so the rounds do take a little bit longer to get through, but I am loving it so much. I'm very excited, especially, well, I say as we go into fall, it's not going to get cooler here in Texas for quite some time. Like we still have at least 2 more months of hot weather. But I am working this on a size US 4 needle, and I am using Mace of Skeins yarn. This is on the Club base, which is 80% superwash, 20% nylon, and the colorways are Dirty Cowboy and Rodeo Queen, and they just look amazing together. I am so excited about this color combination, like so much. Like, look how great that looks. So hope to finish that here soon. I was excited to pick it back up again, just especially the way it's worked in sections. Like, you just want to keep going until you get to the next section. Those are the only 2 whips that I worked on this week. So with that, let's talk about knitting goals for the month of August and / this upcoming next week. So I want to finish 2 more pairs of socks for summer sock camp. So that pair of scrappy vanilla socks that I have going, and I'd like to cast on 1 more sock and finish that as well. I can't decide if I want to do 1 more pattern sock or just a plain vanilla pair of socks. I need to look through my yarn, see what's calling out to me, and really just see what I feel like knitting on. But I would like to finish 2 more pairs of socks, and I think that would put me at 2 pairs of socks a month since June, because I think that would put me, I think that's what it would be. Like, so since June, I've knit 2 pairs of socks every month. So I'd like to finish 2 more pairs of socks. I need to block the Holger, so that'll be a weekly goal. I need to get that done. I can definitely get that done over this weekend. And then I want to finish and attach the last square that I have on my needles. Let me find that. Okay, I'll go ahead and show this blanket somewhat. So I mentioned that this is something I've been working on in a class. I'm not going to stand up and show it, but essentially it's a bunch of different blocks with different stitches that have been seamed together to make an afghan. I have the last one on the needles. Not super far along, but I would like to finish this square and attach it to the afghan. That way the afghan, the main part, is complete, and then I can just finish up the border, because I have the border started. You can see there, it's so big, I'm not even going to try to take it out, but I have the border started. So it's so close to being done, but not quite. So close yet so far away. So I would like to finish and attach that last square this month. And then also this month, I would like to finish my Kalivata shawl. I think that's very much doable. It seems like it's taking so long because each round gets longer since you're increasing the whole time. But as far as this week, I would like to block the Holger, and we'll say I'll finish the heel through the gusset on the scrappy socks, and we'll cast on a new sock. I don't know when, but sometime in the next week I'm going to cast on a new sock, so that'll probably be something I have to bring next week. But I need to go through my yarn and see what I feel like knitting. But essentially the goals are just kind of to clear my needles. I only have 3 things going right now. I think this is the least amount of works in progress that I've had in quite some time. Besides like the blanket, that afghan that's like half in hibernation, half still needs some pieces to be done. And my DK jelly roll blanket, that's still in hibernation. I haven't worked on that. I have got plenty of yarn though to pick that back up. So I think as I finish like maybe the Kalivata shawl or the Afghan square, I'm definitely gonna pick that back up again. So probably, I'm gonna say in the next 2 weeks, you'll probably start seeing some of the DK jelly blanket again, which I'm excited about because I really enjoy knitting on it. This coffee is just about done. Reading, watching, and listening. So I have been keeping up a bit better with my reading. Right now I am reading A Little Life. It's a sad book. Like, it's just sad. Like, these boys into young men are going through just such hardships, and it's really sad and hard to read and makes me kind of sad sometimes. But like, it's so, I can't even think of the word. It's compelling to read for sure. But yeah, so I'm reading that book still. I've gotten a lot further. I'm not quite to the halfway point yet, but maybe almost there. And then there is a new book that I want to start reading. I'll probably start it this week. Typically I like only reading one book at a time, but one is fiction, one's nonfiction, so I think that'll be okay. And it's called Fast Like a Girl. It is something my doctor mentioned that I was interested in, so yeah, we'll see like that. It's about just kind of like how we eat, so we're just gonna see what it's about. I'm interested to see if it could benefit me any. Reading. Watching, I'm still going through Bones and Modern Family. I haven't watched Modern Family in a while because I was rewatching it. And I started watching episodes again just because so many episodes of Bones, it gets kind of like intense and heavy, especially like where I was in like the main storyline. So I started watching Modern Family again and picked that back up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that. I think that's about all I have. All right, let's close around up with 3 simple joys. Simple joy number 1 has just been reading. I've really been enjoying it a lot. I think that was one of my simple joys last week, and I'm going to keep it again. Simple joy number 2, really just finishing these projects, especially that baby sweater. I'm so excited to gift it. And it just feels good to clear stuff off my needles. Again, like, my brain just feels better whenever I have those cleared up, and I can look forward to like my next big project. So I'm very excited about that. And then simple joy number 3 have just been coffee shop trips. I really try to enjoy those more just because since I do work from home, I really don't get out a whole bunch. And so lately I've just tried to make it a point to go to a coffee shop at least once a week, get a little work done or knit or read. And so those have been really, really nice. Especially since I went this morning and got to hang out with my mom and see her for a little bit. So those are my simple joys, and that's all I have. I feel like this one was a lot. And I think next week we're gonna have some new cast-ons, maybe even swatch for some things. Who knows? I feel like the possibilities are endless for knitting in August because I'm so excited of like kind of where all my knitting stuff is. So we'll call it a day. My coffee's empty. So we'll call that it. And so subscribe if you aren't already. Come back each week, and thank you to those who do come back each week, and thank you for the new people who have joined. And I hope you are enjoying these videos. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see, what you like, maybe what's not your favorite. Yeah. So until next time, stay caffeinated.